Hi there. I'm Dr. Suzanne Bechtel, a passionate legal educator dedicated to making legal studies clear, practical, and even a little inspiring. On this channel, you'll find a growing collection of videos designed to help you prepare for the Certified Paralegal exam. It covers key topics, breaking down complex concepts, and offering study tips that actually stick. If you're looking for a deeper dive, check out my Teachable School, where I offer structured courses, interactive tools, and exclusive resources to support your journey towards certification. Watch this video to the end and you'll find a coupon code for a discount. Don't forget to subscribe and explore the playlists. Your success on the NALA CP exam starts here. Now, before we move on to the lecture, there are two important disclaimers. First of all, this is not considered legal advice. Everything shared here is designed to support your learning journey. Also, I am not a lawyer. This course is designed to help you understand the concepts of the exam. This lecture serves to introduce you to the corporation's financial structure. And the purpose is to familiarize you with the basic definitions and concepts dealing with the financial structure of the corporation, especially where it comes to equity and debt financing and dividends. The goals of this lecture, on the next slide, looking at the various forms of capitalization, equity financing, debt financing, consideration for stocks, types of dividends, stock splits, secured transactions in the Uniform Commercial Code, and the role of the corporate paralegal. Some resources. Again, don't forget the review notes have a lot of this covered. Corporate capitalization. There are three concerns. Well, the corporate assets are what are referred to as corporate capital. And there are three main concerns. How is it going to enable the company to raise and maintain the capital necessary to operate the business, distribution of earnings and profits to its shareholders, and division of its assets upon dissolution. Corporations' capital, I've already said that the corporation's capital includes the corporation's assets. It'll be determined by the board of directors and corporate management. Equity financing is what is involved in the issuance of shares of stock of the corporation in exchange for cash or other consideration that will become corporate capital. And the statutes of most states provide that every corporation must at all times have issued stock, so they have to have stock share, at least one issued. And that one stock share has to have unlimited voting rights and the right to receive the net assets of the corporation on dissolution. Okay, equity financing, I covered that. Sorry, I got a little backward because I had to pause and restart in the middle here. Okay, so slide 5 is where we are. Equity securities must be authorized in the corporation's articles of incorporation, and they're typically designed as a common stock or preferred stock. Corporate shares or stock are the basic units into which corporate ownership is divided. So corporations' articles of incorporation will set forth the number and type of shares of the corporation that it's authorized to issue. Again, going back to that organizational meeting. Shares of stock authorized in the articles, they're referred to as authorized shares. So that's an important term. Once that consideration is received, there's been a payment of some type for the shares of stock. They've been delivered to the shareholders. So they're considered to be issued and outstanding shares. The articles of incorporation have to authorize one or more classes or series of shares that together have unlimited voting rights, that's repetitive, and one or more which may be the same class or classes that together are entitled to receive the net assets of the corporation upon dissolution. So simply put, all the design of the equity in the corporation is based on shares of stock. and upon payment of for consideration for shares of stock, shareholder will receive that, and that's an issued and outstanding share. And then there are the requirements of unlimited voting rights for at least one or more class, and then uh, the net assets. So that's the corporation assets piled up. That's how they determine their value, the value of the corporation. Oh, a couple other things from that last slide, but going back is impossible with this software. Um, Common stock. So you need to know common stock also is they're not, if shares aren't designated otherwise, they're considered shares of common stock. And if the articles of incorporation don't have some kind of prohibition on this, owners of common stock are entitled to the right to participate in the control of the corporation and a pro rata share of the corporation's profits, as well as a pro rata share of the corporation's assets upon dissolution. Preferred stock, they have certain limited rights and privileges, and it's usually dividend and liquidation priorities over the outstanding stock. So the terms of preferred stock, they're set forth in the corporation's articles of incorporation and on the face of the preferred stock certificate. It can be issued with rights to redeem it or convert it. A corporation's board of directors may issue preferred stock to attract investors. That's what the point of preferred stock is. A little more steady income and more secure investment on the part of the investor. All right, so par value. If this simply put, this is the nominal value assigned to shares of stock, which is, it's imprinted on the face of the stock certificate as a dollar value. The trend today is to eliminate the par value requirement. This goes way back because it can be considered watered stock. If you just put this arbitrary number on there for par value, it can be considered watered stock, which you prefer not to have. Loses its value. Consideration for shares of stock, it's typically, payment in cash, but the value of the stock is involved in determining the consideration and the value of the consideration received. So that's the board of directors has a duty to not overprice stock, basically. And so the value is determined by the board, and that's how they determine the consideration needed to purchase stock. The initial shares of the stock are typically issued at the organizational meeting, and the stock subscription agreements and the issuance of stock certificates are handled at that time. Stock certificates will have the name of the corporation, the state the corporation is organized in, the name of the person the stock is issued, the number and class of shares, and the designation of the series, if any is applicable, and that's going to be represented on the certificate. Stuff gets lost, put it in a safe place, didn't hire a witness to tell you where you left it. Lost stock certificate can be replaced. The shareholder needs to submit an affidavit affirming it's lost or destroyed. It's usually issued with an indication it's a duplicate stock certificate. Redemption of equity shares. Redemption means to repurchase by the corporation of its own shares of stock. And that's often what is the case with preferred stock. It's often issued with redemption rights of the corporation. It can be issued with the right of redemption, and that provides that so this is preferred stock I'm talking about, providing that the corporation can redeem the stock at a future date upon specified terms and conditions. It can be at the option of the shareholder, the corporation, or a third party. A sinking fund might be used by a corporation to accumulate cash for planned future acquisition. And treasury shares are previously issued shares of stock that have been reacquired by the corporation. So some of this is terminology to know, and what it means is probably the most useful for this slide. Dividends. Dividends are payments to shareholders from the profits of a corporation and as a return to the shareholders' investments. So dividends can only be paid when the corporation is able to continue to meet its obligations after dividends are paid. Directors are usually under no obligation to declare a dividend in the corporation. They may decide that it's in the company's best interest to reinvest the surplus and profits in business. But once a dividend is declared, it becomes an obligation of the corporation to the shareholders who are entitled to receive the dividend. Preferred stockholders often have priority over common stockholders, though, and that would be preferred with regard to payment of dividends. If preferred stockholders have a right to cumulative dividends, then they are entitled to, they're entitled to payment of any missed dividends from one period before dividends are paid on shares of common stock in the next period. And shareholder approval may be required for the payment of stock dividends. And dividends are declared by the board for payment to all shareholders of record on a specific date. And directors are typically not obligated to declare a dividend on common stock and may decide to reinvest profits in the corporation instead. Stock splits are used to lower the price of a corporation's stock, and its effect is to split the value of each share of stock into smaller denominations. They increase the number of outstanding shares of a corporation, and the actual amount of capital and surplus remains unchanged. They're not considered dividends. Debt financing refers to obtaining capital through loans to the corporation, which must be repaid with interest upon the terms agreed to by contract between the corporation and the lender. And debt is part of the permanent capital structure of nearly all established corporations. The board usually decides what type of debt to acquire to suit the corporation's needs. And the types of debt, equity, include bank loans, commercial paper, and bonds. Commercial paper and bonds. Commercial papers are short-term, unsecured debt instruments issued by the corporation in the form of promissory notes. And bonds are issued to bondholders with a variety of rights to raise, and they're used to raise capital for the corporation. Bondholders do not have voting rights. A bondholder is more of a creditor than an owner. Secured financing in the Uniform Commercial Code, lenders will often require a security interest to provide a loan to a corporation. A security interest is an interest in property that secures payment or performance of an obligation. So when a lender assumes a security interest in the borrower's collateral, it's a secured transaction, and they're subject to Article 9 of the UCC. Equity capital versus debt capital. Here, the board of directors often works with the corporate management to determine the optimal capital structure for the corporation, the best mix of both equity capital and debt capital. And this slide has a number of points on equity capital versus debt capital. So you can look at this on your own time. Paralegal role is research, drafting, a lot of that. So this concludes this lecture on the financial structure of business, of corporations. I hope you got some good information from this video lecture. Don't forget that I have a Teachable school account. Here is the address for that, mayananda-s-school.teachable.com. The name of my school is Mayananda. And also, there's a coupon here for you to save some money. And finally, good luck on the exam. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.